First of all, I'd like to say Assalamu alaikum to everyone, which means may the peace and blessings be upon you. Thank you so much for supporting the Muslim Students Association and letting us be a part of this wonderful culture of activism that we have in Edmonton. I think it's very, very important that we're all out here on this lovely day to protest this war. I would like to, Momin will talk further about the war, but I would like to just bring some attention to the plight of one Canadian person who is the only Canadian who is in Guantanamo Bay. His name is Umar Khader. He was brought in when he was 15 for throwing a grenade at invading U.S. forces in a civilian compound. He's the only child soldier that is currently in Guantanamo Bay who is being tried as an adult. There's lots and lots of evidence that is being kept from his lawyers so that they won't have a fair way of defending him. And as he's actually the only Western citizen that is still in Guantanamo Bay, because every other government has brought their civilians home. The Australian government has, the British government has. The British government even brought back people who were not even British citizens, but they were just residents, because they know that they have the right to try them and to do whatever they see fit according to their laws. But the Canadian government was the only one who hasn't grown a backbone and stood up to the U.S. government and brought Umar Khader home. He is a shame. Umar Khader, as a child soldier, deserves to be treated with, according to, as a minor. We have a girl in Medicine Hat who ended up getting her parents and her brother killed, and she is they're debating whether or not to send her to juvenile detention. And on the other hand, we have Umar Khader, who is also a Canadian citizen, but just because he was in Afghanistan and maybe because he's Muslim, they are not, and he was defending himself from invading forces, and he has been stuck in Guantanamo Bay, being treated to solitary confinement, being treated as an adult prisoner for the last 6 years. I think it's high time that the Canadian government grow a backbone.
Thank you for. I'll just say a quick couple words. Firstly, I'm sure everyone has heard all the statistics and so on and so forth that's being said. I'm not here to speak on statistics, but what I'm here to speak on is to present a Muslim understanding of the situations which is happening. And I think that so long as an hysteria and Islamophobia exists in the psyche of our society, troops won't come home. And troops won't come home because the masses feel that Muslims present a terror, or Muslims present a danger to them. And right now, yesterday, or was it on Wednesday, there was by Horowitz an Islamofascism campaign that he wants to do 1,000 campuses and spread the word how Islam causes nothing but destruction, how it's oppressive, how we should be always spied upon. But exactly, shame, exactly, right? And the reality of that is that he's calling Islamofascism, but that on its own is fascism, presenting such ideologies. So he is himself spoken against his own campaign. And I think it's important that as people of sound reason, it doesn't matter if you're Muslim or not, that we realize that the crimes of some people cannot be labeled or put upon everyone. And also we see what's, I was looking at the statistics that since year 2001 to 2006, 99,000 Americans have been killed due to homicide. 99,000. And for 2,900, they went to Afghanistan. I think that the billions they spent in Afghanistan, if they spent in their own countries, 96,000 wouldn't have been dead. In the same manner, that goes for Canada. From year 2002 to 2006, 3,600 have been killed. Why are we in Afghanistan when they haven't done anything to us? Why are we there? And this ideology of offensive defense, this is exactly what Al-Qaeda did when they went after the World Trade Center. So we're following the philosophy of the terrorists. Is that commendable at all? Is that the way that Canada should be? Exactly. Shame on Canada following such ideologies. And last thing is that I really think that it's important for us to not make our troops saints. I think it's understandable that if a human being who is innocent is killed, it's not called crossfire, it's not called collateral damage, it's called murder. And that's how we should be dealt with, murder. And we see in Vancouver. In Vancouver, we have terrorist activities where 6 of our sons are killed in an apartment. As Farah mentioned, our daughter can kill her parents and her brother. We see on the ETS that one of our riders is killed. We see on these house parties, these little kids are killed. That's terrorism. That's what we should be going after, because that affects our daily life. Not what a kid does in Afghanistan, or what a man does in Iraq, or one who goes into his tent or his cave or his Bedouin lifestyle. It does not have any effect on us. But this stuff does, and if we put money to it, we would see. And one thing that I'll end with, actually 2 things I'll end with, I will say this. 2 things I'll end with. One thing is that this Islamo-fascist campaign that was taking place by Horowitz, he said that Islam is very oppressive and the women need to be liberated and so on and so forth. But you know, the truth is that before America goes and liberates women in another country, maybe they should liberate themselves from racism and prejudice, because we see how they dealt with the Afro-Americans in Katrina and with the white masses of California. And we see that right now, that how they were treated and how evacuation took place. And that's a reality. Why is it that the Afro-Americans, 3 days later they were there, but for the white majority, the people they had masseuses. They had masseuse waiting, people would be given food. People in the stadium in Katrina were dying, there were dead bodies lying. And they're trying to liberate a different nation? Doesn't make sense at all. Liberate yourselves before you liberate others. That's how it should be. And lastly, my Prophet Muhammad, the architect of happiness for us, he said that when you see wrong, you should stop it with your hand. And if you can't stop it with your hand, you should say it with your tongue. And if you can't say it with your tongue, then know it in your heart, for that is the lowest level of faith. And in the same manner, if we cannot stop the oppression with our hand, we should stop it with our tongue. And if we can't even do that, then we should know that this is the lowest level of faith, that we should know in our heart what is happening is wrong. Because if we cannot acknowledge that, then we're not even human. Thank you very much.